Most people start their preparedness journey by buying an expensive, massive pile of tactical gear they will likely never use. While preparedness has moved into the mainstream, it's easy to fall into the gear trap, believing that a high-end backpack is a substitute for a functional plan. We tend to prepare for cinematic doomsdays, even though the disruptions actually guaranteed to impact our lives are far more mundane: extreme winter storms, power grid failures, and supply chain delays. Take a sudden winter grid failure. No power, no municipal water, and emergency services already stretched to the breaking point. This is hour zero. Our beginner prepper feels a sense of security at this moment because they spent $2,000 on tactical equipment currently sitting in a closet. But a true disaster doesn't test your net worth or your gear collection. It tests the durability of the systems you have built to sustain your home. By hour 4, the house is freezing. The beginner tries to live out of an 80-pound tactical bag inside their own living room, realizing very quickly that military-grade camouflage does nothing to stop a plummeting indoor temperature. The first systemic failure is the refrigerator. Without a specific 4-hour outage protocol to preserve perishables, the household's primary food supply is already beginning to spoil. They have buckets of freeze-dried survival meals, but those require a reliable way to boil water without the grid. Without a safe indoor cooking method, that food remains locked in its packaging. Transition to hour 24. The focus shifts from the kitchen to the most critical failure of all, the absence of stored water. Decline begins after 3 days without water. Currently, the stored baseline is empty. A filter is useless without a source. It's a secondary step. If water returns contaminated by chemicals, boiling concentrates the toxins. You must know which local advisories to follow. High-tech purification tools lose their value the moment you realize you haven't engineered a simple, reliable water storage system first. By hour 48, the cold and lack of hydration have set in. Cognitive fatigue creates a heavy mental fog, making even simple decisions feel overwhelming. The beginner has a backup generator, but in their exhausted state, they haven't followed a carbon monoxide safety protocol. Without a pre-written rule to keep that machine 20 feet from the house, a life-saving asset becomes a fatal risk. Stress compounds when family members are separated across town. Without a designated analog communication plan, coordination becomes impossible. Relying on cellular networks or trying to invent meeting points on the fly fails the moment the towers lose power or the grid goes dark. When a crisis hits, your ability to think clearly drops. If you aren't following a pre-written plan, even the best gear becomes a liability. The Calm Prepper framework replaces the chaotic scramble for gear with 3 interconnected foundational operational loops: water, food, and power. System 1 is water math, the baseline requirement of 1 gallon per person per day, properly stored in food-grade containers and labeled for rotation. System 2 is the first-in, first-out pantry. Stock shelf-stable foods your family already eats, rotating new items to the back and using the oldest first to ensure nothing is wasted. System 3 is the family emergency binder. This book contains your communication tree and medical plans, along with out-of-state contacts, information you need when the internet is gone. Replacing the search for perfect survival items with logical protocols changes the experience of a crisis. When the unexpected happens, you execute a series of managed tasks instead of reacting in panic. This practical structure ensures that a household continues to function with absolute predictability, even when the external world completely fails. Resilience begins at home with the systems you build today. To help audit your own home, download the 72-hour systems checklist at the link provided below.